On the trailer, it looks so small.
What's up, man?
I want to get this shot of a normal truck next to it. Oh my god, that's so fun. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Pete's Carport, and boy do I have a fun vehicle to show you guys. And you saw it right at the beginning of the video being dropped off at my shop, and it is sitting right behind me, and it is a 1994 Honda Acty. So what is a Honda Acty? Well, Honda Acty is one of many different types of Kei trucks. And Kei trucks are a Japanese, this one's an imported Japanese small vehicle. So they have to meet a certain standard. Now, I'm not an expert on all of these things, but I'm going to go through what I've learned just by looking at these and doing a little bit of research. So what this is a 660cc smaller truck, obviously, that they use in Japan. And by meeting these standards, they get a discount on insurance and so forth. And so a lot of these things are very, very popular in Japan. And now we're able to import them into the United States. Now, there's a few other standards they have to meet, like size and I believe horsepower. Let me know in the comments what you guys know. But this is what I learned in the short term that I've been looking these up online. So why did I buy this? Well, many of you guys know I own a coffee company, and for those of you that don't, I've owned a coffee company for quite some time, about 13 years now, and I started doing a lot of wholesale about 7-8 years ago, so we've been distributing. And I've always wanted to get a fun vehicle, something that would draw attention to do my deliveries with, and I also wanted to create a mobile coffee truck. So I've always been on the hunt. I came across one of these, it was a Suzuki, on OfferUp, and I went out and took a look at it and found out a lot of really unique things about these and what differs the different brands. So there's quite a few different brands. I'll put them all up here. I believe obviously Honda, Suzuki, I think Subaru. There's a Daihatsu, which I think is Toyota's brand, and there's a few others. Like I said, I'll list them all here. I'm not an expert on these, but I'm just giving you what I've learned in the short amount of time that I've been looking into these. So I picked this vehicle up the other day to use for my business. And the reason why I went with the Honda Acty and not the Suzuki is for some key differences. And each one of these brands have some small key differences. I think every one of them are the same size or close to because they meet that minimal or the maximum standard of size they can have, and they all have about the same size engine, maybe a few minor differences on that. But one of the key big differences across the board is how many speeds. So this is a 5-speed versus the Suzuki that was only a 4-speed, which allows you, from what I know, to go a little bit faster. And I'm going to be commuting on the highway, and this one seemed to be a little bit safer for that commute. Number two was this one has standard AC that is extremely cold, and that was a must in Florida. So if I was going to be driving this at all, I had to make sure it had AC. The Suzuki did not come with AC. But the key things the Suzuki had was a locking differential and also 4x4, but it was not all real-time or all-time 4-wheel drive like the Honda. So I don't have to go and switch it into 4-wheel drive like I would have with the Suzuki, but I'm always going to have 4-wheel drive to the wheel. So that's kind of cool. Now, if I was doing full off-roading, if I was using this as a hunting vehicle or something like that, I would definitely have gone with the Suzuki. And one of the cool things about these is they can do a lot. I mean, I've seen some videos where these things are doing some crazy off-roading, and so I was really interested in that part. Not that I'm planning on doing that, but I thought that would be cool to take this thing out to the woods sometime. So one of the other key differences is where they place the motor, which will affect the way it drives. It also affects the amount of heat that will end up in the cab. So Suzuki put their engine up right underneath the cab without AC, which would have created a ton of heat. Being in Florida, it probably would have become unbearable on any long drive. And Honda put their engine right here. So this is where Honda's engine is, and I really like that as well. These engines should be pretty easy to work on. I've watched quite a few videos. Changing oil is pretty basic, and access to all of those components are pretty simple. So this one here is a lower mileage, but the Suzuki ironically had lower mileage, and I still went with this because it seemed cleaner, it drove nicer, and I just know the Honda brand will be a better seller for the future. I was even told that Honda is the #1 seller in the United States for these currently. So they've just kind of become more popular because of the import laws. As you guys know, I think it's 25 years before you can bring these in. this being a 94, hasn't really been able to be brought in for a long time, and you'll start seeing these more and more is my guess on these. I'm actually very excited, and I can't wait to take you guys for a quick ride on this. Now, I don't have it insured, don't have the title, so I really am just going to probably pull it out. So let me go ahead and get it started up so you guys can take a look at that. We'll take a little bit closer look to the inside of it. Alright, so most obvious thing right up front is it's a right-hand vehicle being from Japan, so that is something you would have to get used to. This one happens to be a manual. Now, they do have them in automatic, and they were selling an automatic where I went, which was kind of unique, but I really like the manual. I think it's going to be a fun car to drive around in, and that from what he told me, the manual is going to give you a little bit higher speed on the highway, so that was also a must and a plus. So let's step in. You've got basic interior here, basic roof lining, kind of like your old school trucks that really were just kind of broken down. You know, you've got rubber mats, kind of metal showing underneath the frame here, door area, and then you've got some door covers, manual windows, which is kind of a plus, to be honest with you. You don't have to mess around with electric braking. It's only 2 doors, so it's no big deal. You've got your e-brake here, and obviously your shifter here. And like I said, it's all-time all-wheel drive. And then you've got a Japanese radio, which I'm told won't work in the US, or you'll only get basic AM stations, so we might need to swap that out. And then the most important thing here in Florida, cold AC. Now, what I found out is most of them don't come with AC, most of them come with just heat standard, so that was a big plus and cost me a little bit more than I would have with one without AC. So I spent about $2 more. So we'll talk about what I spent in a little bit. And then your standard gauges here. Shockingly, it does tell you don't have your seatbelt on. And if we look here, it says 86,000 kilometers, which I think breaks down to about 51,000 miles. I'll put it on the screen for the exact amount. And then you've got standard steering wheel. Obviously, your foot pedals here. And crazily enough, you have a good amount of room in this cab. So you don't have to be super small to fit in this. One more really unique thing that came with this vehicle is all of these cool service records. Now, they're all in Japanese, just like the manual, but it kind of shows you how the Japanese culture is. They really take good care of their vehicle, and the owner of this was no slouch. He definitely got stuff done, and it kind of shows on the vehicle's age how well this car has held up. Let's go ahead and step back out and check out more of the vehicle. All right, so let's go ahead and step back outside the vehicle and do a full walk around. Now, one of the other key components of throughout the years were these front headlights. I believe they had round and a couple other variations. And one thing I really wanted to point out, and a key thing of why I bought this one, is because it really doesn't have any rust. I mean, there's a very solid body on this car. There's very minimal surface rust in the bed, and all of that can easily be taken care of. And it also had some upgraded rims, which was kind of unique. So my goal is to upgrade these tires to more of an off-road style tire. I've seen a ton of that out there, and I found some tires I think are going to do really well. But for the time being, I'm going to keep these on here to drive it around. Now, one really cool thing about all of these vehicles is how this entire bed comes down and lays flat. So a really unique thing. That'll flip down like that. Come over here. That side will flip down, and obviously the other side. And that actually will give you very good access to working on the motor here if you do need to. I also know a lot of people put lighting up here, which is kind of a unique, cool thing to do. This one has a standard just backlight like that. And you can see the motor's running very quiet. So that is another thing, that this vehicle ran really well when I went out there compared to the Suzuki. The Suzuki was a little bit louder. The shifter didn't shift as smoothly, and I just didn't feel as comfortable with it. So let's talk about price. Now, if you guys start looking into these, you'll see you can import them yourself and save a ton of money, but there's a heavy risk in that because you might not know the 100% the quality of the vehicle you're getting, because obviously you don't get to touch it, you don't get to drive it, you don't know if there's going to be a major issue with the motor or the clutch or any of that stuff. And I really decided I did not want to go that route and take the risk. And I found this one that I felt like was a really good price compared to others on the market of this quality. So I paid $7,500 for the vehicle, and I'm going to get the title shipped to me directly in my name. I think it takes about a week is what he said, which means I can go right down to the DMV. Florida is a lot different than other states, and I'm learning that watching a lot of YouTubers out there. We don't have to go and get emissions. We don't have to go and get smog. All we have to do is buy a vehicle, get the title, typically go get the title switched to our name and pay the taxes on the vehicle. Like I said, this one's going to come directly in my name. Then we can go down to the DMV as long as we have insurance. We have to show proof of insurance, and then you can get the car registered. And if you have a plate, you can typically take that plate and put it on here, and or whatever vehicle, and it doesn't cost that much at all. I think it's like a $70 transfer fee. And if you need a new plate, it's somewhere around $200 or something like that. So a lot of times I'm having to buy a plate when I get another car because I don't have enough plates, and I have to obviously get the insurance unless I don't want to drive it. So right now this car is not insured, and we're not going to take it on a drive because I don't want to risk it. But I promise you we'll have another video upcoming on this, and I'll explain into more detail what I had to do to get this car registered, if I ran into any issues getting it insured, because I heard that that can sometimes be an issue. And then we'll take this thing out on a fun drive, and I'll probably do some more videos in the future if you guys are interested. So once again, guys, let me know in the comments what you think about the vehicle. If you know anything more about these, if you have friends out there that have them, let me know some of the common issues, some of the things I should look for, and what you think about this vehicle. Once again, guys, my name's Pete. You guys have an awesome day, a blessed week, and I'll catch you on the next video.